We're back! Yay! Oh my gosh! I feel like I haven't filmed a video in forever. It's been like over a week since I filmed a video. Wow, I missed you guys. Hi, hello. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Rachel. I have been very busy lately with things like this. And this. And I don't know, things kind of like this. That's right. I had to flex just a little bit. So I've been really busy with that. And then on top of that, I've started a new job. I'm probably still going to be a bit busy in this coming month, maybe a little bit next month. So I think what I'm going to have to do just for my sanity is, for the time being, just put out one video a week instead of my regular 2. That is the plan for right now. I want to get back to 2 videos a week, but for right now, this is what we're gonna do. So every Friday, she's gonna be here. But because I've been so busy and I have been doing a lot of driving lately, I have been listening to a lot more audiobooks. So I thought today what I would do is an audiobook recommendations. I feel like a lot of people, especially on Bookstagram, are always asking for audiobook recommendations, and I'm like, oh girl, let me give them to you. So I thought that I would compile all of my recommendations, as well as include some that I am looking forward to listening to. So without further ado, let's get into it. I am getting warm, actually. I'm gonna take this off. Warm. Okay. My very first recommendation is Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I really do think that any book by Taylor Jenkins Reid on audiobooks, I think she does something unique with them. But specifically with this one, what makes it so good is because the way it's written, every chapter is a different interview with a certain band member. Because of that, we have Jennifer Beals as a narrator, Benjamin Bratt, Judy Greer, and Pablo Schreiber. All of them are really good. I love Judy Greer and also Benjamin Bratt. His congeniality, hello. I think we were all in love with him after that. I just really like the way that it's done and the way that it's told. I think that's part of the reason why I liked it more. I don't know if I would have liked it as much if I didn't listen to the audiobook, but it's well worth it to get it on audiobook and listen to it. Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid. That one's a really good one. And really, from what I've heard, any Taylor Jenkins Reid on audiobook is really good. So think about it. The next one that I want to talk about is Impact Winter. It is done by a full cast, and also it's like dramatized, so there's like sound effects in it. It's a horror slash dystopian vampire podcast because it is done in episodes. It's only about 5 hours long. It is so interesting. And the people who are in it, the cast in it, are so good. It's definitely one that like holds your attention. It's a little bit of a mystery, but also very action-packed. Definitely recommend this one. It is so good, so fascinating. If you are looking for one that's really going to hold your attention, I highly recommend Impact Winter. The next one that I listened to, I actually listened to years ago, and it's one that's just kind of stuck in my brain, and I think a big part of it is because of the narrators, and it is One Day in December by Josie Silver. The narrators are Eleanor Tomlinson. She was Jazz in Angus Thongs and Perfect Snogging. If you know, you know. As soon as I started listening to it, I heard her voice and I was like, I know this voice. The guy narrator is Charlie Anson. He also did an excellent job. The story itself is a missed chance, second chance romance. And so it's one that spans over years and kind of these two characters keep on running into each other just over the years. It is very cute. Highly recommend. The next book that I listened to, for some reason I like to listen to the second book in a series on audiobook. I don't know what that is, but the second book that I listened to was The Man Who Died Twice. It's a part of a Thursday Murder Club mystery by Richard Osman. These books themselves are so good, but then listening to them, the narrator, Leslie Manville, is so good at narrating it. She just brings a new breath of fresh air to the characters. And so I highly recommend any of the series. They are such a happy-go-lucky, perfect road trip type book. One that you can listen to with the whole fam if you want to, because it's all of these senior citizens at a senior citizen home trying to solve mysteries in their community, and it is just so good. I listened to this book actually with my mom. We were going to visit my sister, and so we just had such a good time listening to it. So highly recommend that one. The next one that I listened to was Thunderhead, and it's part of the Scythe series by Neal Shusterman. The Scythe series is so fascinating to me, just in it of itself. And so then listening to Thunderhead, it was mainly because I just couldn't wait to read the next one, and I was going on a road trip, so I was like, you know what, I'll get the audiobook just so then I can listen to it. And I just remember it being so fast-paced. The narrator was fine. Greg Tremblay, he was fine, but it's definitely the story itself that made it as good as it was. Highly recommend that one because it is a fast-paced, good time. The next one that I listened to, or that I would recommend, is Finley Donovan Knocks 'Em Dead by Elle Cosimano. It's read by Angela Daw. This is another one. I was just at home listening to it. Like, I was just sitting down doing nothing, just listening to it. Another one that was very well done and just added a different kind of flavor to Finley Donovan, because the way in which the narrator spoke just made the character seem more real. Like, I very much remember a really funny scenario where Finley is like whisper yelling at used to be the nanny but is now kind of Finley's partner in crime, and it was just so comical, and so would definitely again recommend that one. Speaking of thrillers and mysteries, I also listened to The Guest List by Lucy Foley. There were a cast of characters in this, and you would get different perspectives for each chapter, and so every chapter had a different narrator for it. Another one that was very good. I don't know if I would have liked it as much reading it. There's something about listening to a thriller, especially one that maybe isn't quite as good to read, that kind of makes up for it. And I think that again has to do with the performance aspect of it. This one, I distinctly remember when the big plot twist happened, being like, oh my gosh, and like getting up and like walking around my room. I was just like, oh my gosh. Like, it's just so fun to be able to like get up and like really react and like not have to stop reading / listening to it. That one was just really fun. The next one is What Lies in the Woods, a novel by Kate Alice Marshall, and it was narrated by Carissa Vacker. And this is another one that I think had more to do with the story than it was necessarily the performance. The book itself was just really good. This was one that I listened to at home the whole time, and I got swept up in it and just had to listen to it. I remember being like super creeped out sometimes. I was like listening to it at night, and I would get kind of creeped out. And so if you get skittish easily, maybe not this one. But if you really like good thrillers and kind of like that scary movie aspect of like when you're watching a scary movie at night, I think that this would be a really good one to listen to. This one had like little bits of plot twists along the way. Like, they were sprinkled in. It wasn't overly done, but it was well done while it was happening. So, if that makes sense. And then I also have Becoming by Miss Michelle Obama. I loved this one. I think primarily because she was the one who was narrating it. I think it would have been different to read it. I think I would have still enjoyed it, reading it, but just hearing her words in her voice, I just loved. Personally, I think listening to memoirs, especially when they are read by the person it's about, is just the best way to do it. The author themselves, that the story is about, they can add their own inflection and stresses on certain areas, and that way you can really fully grasp what they're trying to say with their book. I also listened to this book, and it's kind of like out there. And again, it was another one that I just had a credit, and I was kind of interested by the story itself, so I thought that I would just get it on audiobook because I didn't think I would read it, and I'm glad I did. It's called The Mosquito Bowl, a game of life and death in World War II by Buzz Bissinger, and it's narrated by George Newbern. And let me tell you, what made this book as good as it was the narrator. Anything read by this George Newbern person, I will want to listen to, because his voice sounds like the narrator from The Sandlot. I'm not even kidding. And so that combined with what the story was about, kind of this good old boy American war story, oh my gosh, it was tugging on my heartstrings the whole time. It was surprisingly such a good book. I was not expecting to feel the way that I felt while listening to it. I cried. If you want to go out on a limb, I never would have thought that I would have enjoyed a World War II war book, but for some reason, I think it's just a mixture of the athletics as well as kind of a heartwarming story within a terrible situation that just drew me to it. And so I would definitely recommend this one. It was fascinating. The next one that I listened to is a little bit similar to Impact Winter. It's called The Cipher, and it was done by BBC Radio, and it's another one that has a full cast. It was very fun to listen to. It's one, again, that has multiple episodes, so is a little bit set up like a podcast, but is a story. You've got sound effects. It's very immersive. I just remember this one being so fun and being like, what is going on the whole time? Very well done. The story is very well done. It's very interesting, fast-paced. It takes you on a lot of different rabbit trails, so you're trying to figure out what is going on the whole time. And then the ending has a very, powerful, crazy ending. So, highly recommend that one as well. And then lastly, one of the first real podcast audiobooks that I really listened to was 36 Questions. And it is a podcast musical. Jonathan Groff is in it, and so is Jesse Shelton. And it's another one that is very immersive. You have all the sound effects around it, but also it is a musical. And it's basically about this couple who is on the rocks. Their relationship, I believe, is ending. They do the 36 Questions game, where they ask each other 36 questions about their relationship. There's a little bit of a twist in it. Very fun to listen to. It's just a 3-parter. Okay, now some of the ones that I'm excited to listen to that I have. And the very first one that I am so excited to listen to is A Court of Mist and Fury. And it is the dramatized adaptation. So this is another one. They have all the sound effects, and it's a full cast, and everyone says their lines. And so I am so fascinated to listen to this, because Akamath is one of my favorite books ever. I'm going to wait until it's scheduled on my Reread With Me to CC3, so it won't be until September that I'll listen to it. It's done in 2 parts. The first part is 8 hours, 26 minutes, and I think the second part is similar in length. I'm very excited to listen to it. I just listened to a snippet of the sample of it, and I think it's going to be so good. And so I'm really excited and just be immersed in it, because it'll be a whole new way to experience the book that I've never had before. I've only ever read it, obviously. So I'm excited to listen to it. The next one that I had no idea was happening until I was looking for this video. And I was like, oh, I'm so excited, is Impact Winter Season 2. They're coming out with a Season 2, and it's at the end of this month, I believe. No, July 13th. That's coming out like next month. Or not next month, next week. It's coming out next week. And so I'm so excited to listen to it because I loved Impact Winter. And so I'm super pumped. I mean, look at how badass that looks. Look at how crazy that looks. Especially with how Impact Winter ended. I'm so excited to see what happens with this one. So, you got me hooked. You got me there. The next one that I want to listen to is a little bit similar to 36 Questions. I'm kind of interested in musical podcasts, and so this one just seemed interesting to me. It's called Crush Hour, a musical, and it has Ellie Goulding in it. It gives me, the premise of this one gives me like Valentine's Day or New Year's Eve vibes, like those movies where you've got like this large cast of characters whose stories kind of intertwine, and it's like love is happening and heartbreak is happening and like family drama is happening, but it's all very nice and pretty. That's kind of the vibe that I get from it. I'm interested to listen to it just to see what it's really about. So, and then last but certainly not least, this is a podcast story series that I have heard about a few times, and I just think it sounds hilarious. And it's called Who Shat on the Floor at My Wedding? It's another one where it's kind of like a mystery podcast of this couple. They are trying to figure out who shat on the floor at their wedding. And so basically they have this detective who comes in, who's all gung-ho about her job, and she basically conducts interviews on a series of different people who were at the wedding. And it's like both a serious, funny podcast series, investigation type situation. And so I'm very fascinated to listen to it because I've heard really good things about it, and this just seems right up my alley. So sounds like a good time, and I'm always in for a good time. Okay, and that is it. I feel like I gave you guys a lot of really good options here of different books that you could listen to. A lot of different vibes going on in this. So I hope you found at least one or maybe two that you're interested in listening to. Let me know if you get any of these. Would also love to hear that. Thanks guys for being here. I truly, honestly appreciate it so much. If you miss me that much, just go watch my Daisy Hates The Great Undoing video, because that sucker is 2 hours long. So if you miss me, go watch that one. You have 2 hours of me there just talking about crazy relationship drama. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you all again soon. Bye.